Well, everyone, welcome to the show. I'm excited to be joined again by my friend and business colleague, Mr. Michael Benson. He's always got these awesome intros.
Ah,
He's got the moves, right?
I
And
got the moves, baby.
Mr. Podcaster Extraordinaire. We've enjoyed working together on these really rapid sales growth projects. So we thought we'd have a show today about three keys to increasing revenue with less time and money. So that's
Yeah,
going to be our key topic for today. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Um,
Fantastic. You have a good
abs-
man, wasn't it Father's Day recently?
it was. It was indeed. Yep. Did you enjoy your Father's Day?
Did great, man. Smoked a big old brisket. I made homemade whiskey, maple pickles to go with it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Wow. Is that legal in your state?
What?
Homemade whiskey?
Well, they weren't homemade whiskey. They were homemade whiskey maple pickles.
Oh, now I thought you said you made some homemade whiskey. Now that's gets you in a little
No.
bit of hot water some places.
No, 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 no.
There's shows on that.
Yes, there are. Yeah, no, I'm not running my own still. But
Oh my goodness. Well, we've been as a company, GreenPath Tech, helping clients with rapid sales growth for about 6 years and a half, and some great results. And we have this methodology, but there's three real big keys. I'm going to start just one by one. Number
yeah,
one thing we run into a lot. Number one, go directly to the right targets, right? It sounds so simple, but we see this struggle a lot. And I know why. There's all these tools out there to research leads, right?
yeah,
Then you
yep.
get this list put together. If you actually look at it, 40, 50% of it's totally off, right? It's like, no, that's not a target for us. So
Or
we,
they're no good anymore.
what's that?
It's not an accurate target anymore.
Right, right,
It's not
absolutely.
you're not a fitter. They just they moved on.
That's true. That's true. That's a lot of it as well. So we do these targeted research projects. First thing we do right out of the gate when we do sales growth is let's look at the targets, um,
Hmm.
and identify what the ideal targets are based on the business that you're doing, and then enrich that data of companies with the right executives that are actually at that place still, right? That is a
Yeah,
key part of it.
absolutely.
So there was this survey I came across, did some research.
Okay.
Um, Guy by the name of Mark Weishak, social scientist from Harvard. He surveyed 400 salespeople. This is pretty shocking. 71.4% of the respondents said that 50% or fewer of their initial prospects turn out to be a good fit. That means that 50% of their time spent hunting is a total waste.
It means that the other 28.6 were lying.
And we've done these
And
lists.
even the 71.4% exaggerated because it ain't 50%.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I like Sales Navigator, for example. I really do. I use it, but I use
Yeah.
it in different ways. And one of the things you can do, like if you sell to fleets, you go on there and put truck transportation. You hit a
Yeah.
list, right? If you look through it, you've got consultants, freight brokers, freight forwarders, and fleets, right?
Well, and but you also have OEMs and you have service stations and you have tow. You have anybody who shows up as being anybody who has anything to do with transportation. You also get like city buses like Carta and all that stuff inside there.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
because that's what it looks for.
That's right. Exactly. And what I think the better approach is find a list of the ideal companies, then use that to enrich your data with the right executives, right? And contact
Oh yeah,
details.
100%. But who's
Um,
got time to do that?
yeah, we do. We do
But
all the
that
time.
that I was leading you. That was called a right down the pipe. I just tossed a
And I totally swung and missed on that deal.
change up right down the center.
Yeah, but we work with companies. You got to get to your ideal list of companies first.
You
And
do.
then you enrich it with the contact details, the right executive titles, emails, LinkedIn addresses, and so forth. And then you're in business, right? Now you got something.
100%. And buying the tools that you speak of, that you can go through and get a list of companies or contacts, and you put in your own search parameters. There's an art to it, dude. There's an art to it. It really is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really is.
as I learn it, I'm still learning how to do it efficiently. And every time I look for a new like vertical or et cetera, there's tweaks and so on where you go, oh, wait a minute, let me do this, and bang, the accuracy becomes so much better, right?
Right,
Um, it's difficult. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know the industry. You got to use people who have done it before, and because a vice president of sales at one company is not the same as another.
right,
Eh, I mean, everybody who sold at US Express was a VP of sales.
right.
Every person. None of them could make a decision. They weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
It's a fact, right?
Well, and unfortunately, we hear a lot of bad stories of bad turnover in the industry and sales.
Sure.
I think a lot of it is just frustration. Just,
Sure.
I don't even have a list of good targets to go after, and I've got a quota, and I'm not even able to do that. And I can't do any research. I can't do anything. I'm just kind of given this phone book of contacts, if you will. And
It's
it's
spray and pray, man.
frustrating.
Frustrations of spray and pray is terrible, and the highs and lows of spray and pray will get you every time.
Yeah.
You spend your time like doing things and figuring out what we're talking about here, and a positive, impactful message. That's where the majority of your time should be. Not saying, "Oh, I got to make 500 phone calls today, otherwise I won't reach my quota." Well, that's probably true, or you could spend majority of your time figuring out who to target and how to target them effectively.
Right, right. And we help companies with that all the time. The number two big thing you kind of touched on there, refine your sales approach. I would
Yes.
say I think this is probably the most obvious thing in the that I'll say all day. Since 2020 COVID, the way that buyers go after and get vendors and suppliers has changed,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
It was already going that way, and I've got another article here. Salesforce.com says 69% of sales executives believe that the buyer process is changing faster than organizations are responding to it. And I believe that's 100% true. It's kind of like putting a square peg into a round hole. It's really tough. So, one of the things we do, we use value attraction and automation, right?
Yeah.
Attract more people to do business with you rather than the spray and pray approach and hitting thousands of the wrong people, frankly. Uh, it just helps you get to the right people with the right message more quickly.
You have to develop more efficient, uh, you know, arrows, right?
Yeah,
Bullets, you know, your quivers in your quill, it's got to be better, because everybody's got a shotgun now, and technology has allowed that. Everybody can spray and pray like crazy with AI and drip campaigns and stuff like that, and so buyers are getting bombarded with crap, quite
yep,
frankly,
right.
because
And look,
anybody and everybody can do it, and so they are. I can physically make this many phone calls or type, X number of emails, or I could have this send 3 times as much or 4 times as much a day. Well, buyers are becoming immune to that. It's like, flooding the market with antibiotics, and then the immunity happens, right? Herd immunity, etc. So you've got to hit the right person with the right message that actually is of value for them.
right. And
You're
it
out.
and you can do this for 60 to 80% less money and time spent on it if you do it in the right way. The thing that I
Yes.
see a lot of companies doing the wrong way is a spam approach.
Yeah.
They lead and they also lead with features, right? We've got this whiz bang thing and that good gadget and this and that and it's like right out of the gate. They haven't even built a rapport. They haven't given any proof of anything they've done, but yet they're trying to go out there. And I understand, I mean, revenue is the not lifeblood of a company, but you don't go out there and say, hey, here's my biggest features. You should do business with me. You attract them with things. There's three big ones. Can it help them improve revenue? Can it
Yeah.
help them streamline? And or can it help them improve margins? Those are the three big ones. If you can help them in any combination of those three, now you're on to something. If you lead with that and you lead with proof of that, then your results will be totally different.
Mm. I mean, those are key things. I mean, especially, well, it should be key all the time, but especially if you're looking at the trucking and transportation logistics market right now. Obviously, that's what everybody's looking at. And in a broader sense, all the shippers and manufacturers are looking at it. I mean, they always are, but right now the pressures have never been greater for
Right.
reasons that we could get into all kinds of political discussions and maybe make people happy or piss other people off, whatever you want to do. But it gets more intense in it, more attention at times. Although it is your fiduciary responsibility as a business leader to be concentrating it all the time. We all know that things loosen and there's investments and there's chances taken and stuff like that during better times. The leaner times or the more tumultuous or uncertain times, you've got to really tighten those screws, right?
Right. And we hear concerns from a sales leaders and sales executives. They're getting shunted to the wrong people. They'll talk to somebody and say, "Oh, Billy in maintenance is the one you need to talk to," because they're leading with, "It helps the engine do this, it helps the fuel do that, it helps the," you know what I mean? Instead
Yeah.
of talking to the president and saying, would you like to reduce your operating expenses by 10 to 20%, of course, now we're on to something. But when they do that, the executives thinking, "Oh, this is Billy's department. I'm not involved in that." And
Right.
in reality, what they're selling, he is involved with because it comes down to P&L. And so we've got methods and tools and so forth. I'll just give three big ones. Utilize reviews, case studies, and testimonials, and have it. And a lot of the testimonials I see are, they're three sentences, four sentences. That's great. But if you're reaching out to an executive, you could take one sentence from that and use that because that's what they care about. And frankly, because people are getting so bombarded, they don't have the time to read through three one paragraph testimonials. They just don't. They don't.
No, they don't. Mm,
So
mm.
you take
No,
the
you've got a
highlights.
second or two to grab attention and have them look to the next second, and then it's over.
That's right. That's right. So just doing that tweak alone will make big, big differences. And then
Huge.
the third big thing, streamline your outreach to follow up 10 plus times, right? There's another resource I want to quote from Bode Tree. Most consumers buy after 7 contacts with a company. Most companies give up after 2. So most people give up after a couple of touches.
Right.
And in
Right.
reality, statistics show that it takes 7 on average for that executive to go, "Okay, I've seen enough proof and value here that now I will go ahead and meet with you." So that's just the way it is.
As long as it's not, hey, you haven't responded, therefore I have to assume that you're dead, or
Hey, are you ready to meet with me yet? Hey, can we meet? Hey, can we get together?
yeah,
um, I love what we do. You and I, Michael, we do these media, podcasts on all kinds of subjects.
right.
But one of the things we do ourselves, and it works really well, is put a topic in front of the executives that they care about, right?
Yes.
Not
Yes.
just, "Hey, would you meet with me?" And
Right.
first of all, that question is a no question, in which we position, would this time or that time be better for us to get together? Or, it's a yes question. But one of the things I see and I've heard. And in fact, early in my sales career, I struggled with this. I'm like, I've talked to this, I've either reached out to or talked to this person multiple times. I'm trying to get to a close. So you want to go things like, hey, we've talked about a proposal. Can we get together and close on this thing? But if you use that language, the other
Yeah,
side's like, all you're doing is just selling me on something. You know,
right.
that's how they're thinking. But if you go to them and go, hey, here's another resource. It's got some testimonials and quotes, case studies, results. Here's a highlight of what it's about. And you send that. Now you become that expert and you're actually affecting their profit and loss. And so now you're in a much, much better position.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, look, I can improve your top line revenue. I can streamline your operations or reduce your expenses, improve profits, right, or sales or market share, whatever it happens to be, and follow up with it. No, no, really, and here's some proof of it, right? And no, really, here's and show them that, not just hey, meet with me. You got to show them how that actually happens. Grab them with okay, this does this. I can do this for you. But you need to know something about their operation as well, right? I mean, you can't just say, hey, because I can't tell you how many times I get people hitting me up for OPT USA to, I help tech firms, really, recycling company.
Right.
Oops.
I know it. I get those every week, and it's honestly it's a failure on all three. Not the right target, not the right approach, and not streamlining at all. You're wasting your time, my time, everybody's time in doing that. Yeah, and I get them all the time. I see you're the leader of a, you know, re, you're the leader of a recycling thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, interesting. No, I know a guy. I do know a guy. But that's not me. Now, what they're
It's not
doing is they're using AI to go out there and scrape the internet and go, hey, here's some targets. Because they
yeah.
talked about sustainability, recycling, and he must be, a buyer in that. Well, no, we talk about sustainability, we talk about recycling. Um, and there's obviously net financial benefits in that.
Yeah.
But I've figured it out. That's why they're thinking, oh, he runs a
Well,
recycling company.
and I get things that, but people they want to. I see you're interested in automated sales improvements and outreach programs. But you need some help with that? Have you read what we do?
I know it, right? It's just so
I would
funny.
respond with, yeah, and I could teach you how to do this much better than you're doing right now, but I know it's just an automated email. It's not going to go to anywhere. And that's one of the things when I talk to people that we talk to is when they understand that, look, we're not just you're outsourcing your spray and pray. That's why we're talking about this. That's not that you could do that yourself. You don't need us to just spray and pray.
Right,
That ain't it.
right,
Automated does not mean ignorant spray and pray or spam. It doesn't. It doesn't anymore. Used to, doesn't anymore.
right. No, I think really what I would say we do better is we help closers close more business. Um, And we do that through all of these things, eliminating a lot of mundane tasks. We hear a lot of frustration out there. I've got to make so many phone calls and so many emails and so forth. And it's not the right targets. It's not the right messaging. It's not. And then I move on to the next group and then I do it again, and it's like, well, maybe think about the overall approach to going to market, right? The go-to market. And so
Mm,
that's what I love. That's what I love about what we do is the effectiveness of it, for less time and money.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what people need right now. And the service is tremendous as well because you so many people try to cut their way to profitability, and you can't do that. You just can't. And there's a huge argument nationwide about this very topic. And those, where are all the cut? Why can't we cut? Why can't we cut? Why can't you can't spend more? No, you have to spend money to be more profitable. You have to. You can't cut your way to profits. You can't. But you can spend that money and you can become much more efficient in your operations. And in this case, sales by utilizing technologies and experts. You don't have to go out there and create the wheel. You don't have to go out there and pay the big money for the executives who have perfected this. We're sitting right here.
That's right. And I've got a free resource that I'm going to put in this podcast and
Ooh,
information 10 secrets to selling more today. And it's
wow.
not 10, these are three of the 10. But yeah, it's just basically, I'm an industrial engineer, you know that. I
Yep.
always looked at things from an efficiency angle. I just do, right? If I could do much more with less time and money, then that's what I'm going to do. And I
Yep.
kind of look at most things through that lens myself. So, I, yeah, I lean that way.
Well, and it's the best way to do it. What I'm saying is you don't have to go out and hire all those people or go train yourself in that if you're a business leader. If you recognize that that's the way to get it done, there are people who have perfected that. One of them's name is Andy Hedrick, and he happens to be doing it in sales and growth for your company, and that's Green Path. And here we are. So let's have a conversation because it's much less costly and the impacts can be felt much sooner than you might think.
Right, right, absolutely. Well, those are some three big ones. I'm going to put the resource out there for
Huge,
10 altogether.
massive.
Huge. Um, um, so I'm going to put those out there and it has a case study on me, right? Back from 2018 and 19, my journey. Um, Traveling coast to coast, wasting a lot of time. And I thought, I wonder if there's a better way. And I actually went
Yeah,
out and hired some consultants and started doing this myself. And that's really what led to Green Path Tech is doing this myself and then talking to friends about what's going on with you. And I'm like, wow, I 10x my pipeline for one-fourth the amount of money. And it's just crazy. And they would say, I wonder if that would work for me. I'd say, well,
yeah,
I think so. Uh,
yeah.
that's really how this whole thing got started.
It
So.
does. It absolutely. I thought it was when we collaborated on that song. That's what really kicked off your whole career. But I guess it wasn't that.
That was a major igniter.
You're so funny. I love it. I love
No,
it,
I have
brother.
so much fun thinking about all the fun things we've done and podcasted about, and then collaborated on some music as well. That's been a lot of fun. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks again for listening or watching, everybody, and we will see you again on the next one. Take care.
Right on. Peace.